So, I've been watching some videos on Helldivers' new war bond, and something about the new warp pack stratagem just felt so familiar. I couldn't exactly tell you why, but it reminded me of some of the alien artifacts from Satisfactory. And that one thought kind of started a brainstorm where I realized that these two games have an eerie amount of similarities. For example, not only do the warp pack and alien artifacts look similar, they also serve the exact same purpose. In Helldivers 2, you can use the warp pack to teleport your Helldivers short distances on the battlefield, while in Satisfactory you use alien artifacts called Mercer Spheres to build a dimensional depot uploader, teleporting your materials to a pocket dimension that you can access at any time. Is it possible that the Helldivers are visiting the exact same pocket dimension that we see in Satisfactory? Although it might seem like a stretch now, I think I've gathered enough evidence to convince you that these two games might just share the exact same universe. So, let me tell you a story about war, and a story about hope, and an undying will to survive. The year is 2185. The Second Galactic War has been raging for 3 years now, and it has taken a deep toll on all of humanity. Planets are being conquered faster than we can defend them, and the Helldivers initiative is nothing but torn capes and bloodstains. But humanity refuses to go that easy. There was a discovery during the war: warp technology. If we could improve on this technology, we could send our few remaining soldiers far away, farther than any of our enemies could reach them. And so the Ministry of Defense got to work. The last remaining Helldivers traded in their capes for multi-tools. Instead of soldiers, they were now pioneers. Their main objective was to land on resource-rich planets and bleed them dry. Humanity needed new planets and new resources, and once the pioneers had fully conquered these new planets, humanity would return to put a boot in the ass of whoever or whatever dared to oppose them. So, what makes me think any of this is even remotely true? Well, for starters, throughout the entirety of Satisfactory, you are told that you're doing whatever you're doing to save Earth.
Milestone reached. Blueprints reduce repetitive building tasks, further optimizing your progression towards saving Earth, with its beautiful ecosystems, abundant natural resources, and sunsets over frolicking puppies and kittens.
And what you're saving Earth from is kept incredibly vague. It is very in character for the Ministry of Truth to kind of stretch things and not really admit defeat a whole lot of the time. Also, take a good look what the Pioneers arrive on, or I guess I should say inside of. Orbital drop pods that fall in and deploy a singular unit. That sounds very similar to something else. The tones of the two games are also very similar. Both games have this like corporate propaganda vibe going on. Everything said to you is encouraging and lighthearted, sure, but there's always that hint of insincerity. To the greater plan, you're not much more than a statistic, a box on some higher-up's paper to check yes or no on. But they can't have you know that, so they flood your senses with insincere promises of importance or great meaning. Do what's right for the greater good, is what they'll tell you. You're the only one that can do it, while they're giving that exact same speech to about 40 other people. Next, I want to talk about some of the enemies that you can find in Satisfactory. And I don't mean the hogs, because I'm pretty sure they're just a native species to Massage 2, the planet you play on in Satisfactory. No, I'm a lot more interested in two specific enemy types that you can find in the game: the arachnids and the spitters. The arachnids, otherwise known as stingers, prefer hit-and-run tactics. They're quick and agile, while the spitters just kind of spit stuff at you. You might see where I'm going with this, but there's a faction in Helldivers that matches both of these descriptors. The Terminids are an alien species that look very similar to bugs, with chitin shells and mandible-like appendages. Some forms of the Terminids are also known as bile spitters. Take a wild guess what they do. You might be thinking that these two things look nothing alike, and while you're correct, we also know almost nothing about the bugs. We only know 3 things for sure about the bugs. Number 1, the bugs evolve incredibly quickly. Sometimes all it takes is a few generations for their anatomy structure to completely change. Number 2, we don't know how, but they have a way of spreading between planets. And number 3, their bodies contain a special chemical known as E710, which can be used as a form of hyperfuel. That would also explain why there's so many different versions of the enemies in Satisfactory. On that same note, there's these things in Helldivers called spore spewers. They're rocky organic structures that spew yellow-greenish gas. Now, in Satisfactory, if you explore a little bit, you'll find these things. Rocky organic structures that emit a yellowish-green gas. Now, obviously I'm not trying to say that the enemies in Helldivers and the ones in Satisfactory are the same thing, because they're not, but we do know that the Terminids are evolutionary offshoots from the bugs in the first game. So if the bugs can go from this to this, I'm sure that if they were in an untampered planet for a few centuries, they could evolve into something quite different. Now, you might be wondering that if the enemies in Satisfactory and the Terminids are some distant relatives, how come there aren't more enemies in Satisfactory? I mean, in Helldivers they absolutely mob you, they're just absolutely everywhere. Well, there's actually an in-universe explanation for why there's so many bugs. After the first galactic war, bug breeding became a fairly standard practice. They would farm the bugs because once again their blood was pretty much just oil, but you know, for some reason normal man-eating bugs weren't enough. So these farms would test on the bugs and genetically modify them, making them reproduce significantly faster than they did. And greed truly is the downfall of men, because this is what led to the Second Galactic War initially breaking out. Next, let's talk about what you do in Satisfactory. You're encouraged to build large and expanding factories regardless of what effects it may have on the planet or its environment. In fact, you're periodically encouraged and provided the tools to further destroy the landscape, all for the sake of letting your factory grow. Small rock or pot of trees blocking your way? Here's a nuke. Go have fun. Alright, pop quiz. In what other game can we see a very portable nuclear weapon? Coincidentally, Helldivers actually recently released a war bond that lets you carry a portable hell bomb on your back. I wouldn't even call it a stretch to say these things look similar. This general disregard for the well-being of whatever planet you're on is reflected very well in the missions that Helldivers are sent on. Bruise, batter, destroy the planet if you have to, as long as the mission gets done. In fact, one planet, Meridia, was so overrun with bugs that the Ministry of Defense literally decided to turn it into a black hole, completely obliterating whatever or whoever was on it. Huh. Doesn't that look familiar? That's not it though. Meridia also had a huge part when it comes to the first invasion of Super-Earth. Another faction called the Illuminate used the Singularity as a decoy, and while Super-Earth's forces were preoccupied, they went for a direct attack, invading Super-Earth itself. And this all leads back to the Warp Pack. After the invasion on Super-Earth, scientists took Illuminate technology and reverse engineered it, resulting in a dark fluid energy that can create wormholes. That almost word for word matches the official description of the Mercer Sphere. There's also another weird correlation between the Illuminates and the Mercer Spheres. When fighting on the Illuminate front, you may come across an objective to take down a cognitive disruptor. There are large towers that shoot purplish-blue lights into the sky. Their main use is to scramble Helldivers' brainwaves in an attempt to disorient them on the battlefield. Likewise, when you stand next to Mercer Spheres, they will scramble your brainwaves, making you think you're hearing voices.
The voiceless effigy creates bodies in their waves, but does not notice the shore. Is our melody not beautiful?
Detecting abnormal brainwave activity again. Activating artificial brainwave resonator.
The Mercer Spheres are plant-like in origin, so is it possible that on Illuminate planets they grow Mercer Spheres and then use them in their warping technology? This would explain why the only reason we've been able to make warp packs is because of Illuminate technology. But what do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Or maybe you think I'm onto something? Either way, feel free to discuss it in the comments section or in my Discord server where I'm active pretty often. This is the first theory video I've ever done, so let me know if I did a good job or if there's anything I should improve on. This video is part of an event I like to call the Nugathon, where I, Lord Nugget, a small YouTuber, attempt to make a high quality video for every day this entire week. If any of this week's videos do especially well, I'll try and make more videos like them. Typically my content usually consists of funny wacky gaming videos, but this week I'm trying to do something unique for every day. Since I'm a small YouTuber, hyping my videos or subscribing to my channel goes a long way. Every interaction counts. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night.